FC Porto were founded in 1893. Prior to playing at Estádio das Antas, the club played at their first home ground, which was Campo da Rainha, and then after they left that ground because it was too small for the club's ambitions, they moved to the Campo da Constituição, Constitution Field. Porto had begun talks of moving away from their second home ground, the Constitution Field, in 1933. It wasn't until 1937 that the proposal was approved, and then it took 10 years later until a 48,000 square metre block of land was purchased in the Antas area in the eastern part of the city in Porto. In December 1949, construction work took place, and it took just under 3 years to complete the stadium. The stadium was opened on the 28th of May 1952, and the first match to be played there was against Benfica. The match ended with Benfica winning 8-2. Throughout the stadium's history, it did have a series of upgrades. In 1960, a cycling track was opened around the perimeter of the pitch. In 1962, the artificial lighting was installed at the stadium. In 1976, there was major work taken at the ground which elevated the capacity to 65,000 seats. In December 1986, the stadium capacity was increased to 95,000 seats, with the lowering of the pitch and also moving the stands closer to the pitch as well, and also removing the cycling and athletics track. In the following decade, the club decided to reduce the capacity back to 75,000 seats, as there were safety concerns and a few other issues around the stadium at the time. In the early 2000s, the club was talking about building a new stadium and moving away from the Estádio das Antas. In the early 2000s as well, Portugal had won the European Championship bid, so it was decided the club would build a new stadium. This stadium would be called the Estádio do Dragão. This stadium was constructed in 2003 and was opened in 2003. It has a capacity currently of 50,000, or just over 50,000. In a strange move, however, there was an issue with the Estádio Dragão's pitch, so it could not be used for official matches in its inauguration, so the Estádio das Antas still hosted 8 further games, the last of which was against Estrela de Amadora on the 24th of January 2004. So it's almost as if, to compare it, it would be like Everton moving to their new stadium, Bramley Moor Dock, and then they were about to play there, but then they'd have to say, well, we have to move back to Goodison Park temporarily because the grass at the new stadium is not up to standard at the moment. In total, FC Porto's record at Estádio das Antas was quite imposing. I talked about the other day Ajax's phenomenal record at the Demir Stadium. FC Porto played 1,002 matches at the Estádio das Antas. They won 803 of those, drew 119, and only lost 80 matches in total in all competitions, which gave them an 80% win percentage at home. In March 2004, the stadium was finally demolished, and in its place is several streets and other things that are named after the stadium in its honour. And the only thing that still remains from the original stadium is one floodlight, which for whatever reason is still there. It hasn't been demolished, and that's the only remnant of the former stadium on the site. So that concludes my video on the Estádio das Antas, the former home ground of FC Porto from 1952 to 2004. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know in the comment section below. If you've been to this stadium, let me know your stories of the stadium. I couldn't really find too much information on the ground because there was very little information in English, and the only websites I could find were in Portuguese, and I had to translate those. So I hope you enjoyed this video anyway. This has been History of Football, and I'll catch us all later in the next one. Alright, tally bye for now.